In a land of rolling fields and golden wheat, there was a father, a man of great wisdom and boundless love. His home was filled with warmth, peace, and provision. He had 2 sons, and all that he had belonged to them. But his greatest treasure was not his land, his wealth, or his many servants. It was his children. Yet one day the younger son grew restless. His heart ached for something more, something beyond the safety of his father's house. So he approached his father and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance now." The words were bold, almost cruel, as if his father was already dead. Yet the father, though heartbroken, did not refuse him. He divided his estate and gave the younger son his portion. Love never forces. Love allows. And so the young man left, setting off into a world he thought would bring him joy. At first, life was everything he imagined. Gold jingled in his pockets, fine robes adorned his body, and laughter surrounded him. He was rich, reckless, and eager to taste all that life had to offer. He spent lavishly, throwing feasts, drinking deeply, and surrounding himself with so-called friends who praised him for his wealth, not his heart. For a time, he felt free, no father to correct him, no rules to restrain him. But the pleasures of sin are fleeting, and soon his money ran out. And just as his fortune disappeared, a great famine struck the land. The city, once overflowing with laughter and music, grew silent with hunger and despair. His friends vanished. The once praised young man was now a beggar, desperate and alone. To survive, he found work feeding pigs, the lowest, most disgraceful job for a man of his people. He was knee-deep in filth, starving, longing to eat even the scraps thrown to the swine. And then he remembered. How many of my father's servants have food to spare, and here I am starving? I will go back. I will tell my father I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am not worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. With nothing left but a repentant heart, he turned toward home. Every day since his son had left, the father had watched the road. His heart ached for his boy. Others called the son foolish, rebellious, a lost cause. But to the father, he was still his child. And while he was still a long way off, the father saw him. He did not wait for the boy to reach the gate. He did not demand an explanation or an apology. Instead, with tears streaming down his face, he ran. Yes, the great man ran. Down the road, his robe billowing behind him. With arms wide open, he embraced his son, pulling him close. The son, overwhelmed with shame, fell to his knees. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But before he could finish, the father silenced him with love. "Bring the finest robe, put a ring on his finger, kill the fattened calf. Tonight, we celebrate, for my son was dead, but now he is alive. He was lost, but now he is found." And so, the household erupted in joy. Music filled the halls, and laughter echoed in every corner. But not everyone rejoiced. Out in the fields, the older brother heard the sound of celebration. He saw the feast, the dancing, the joy and anger burned within him. "All these years I have served you faithfully. I have obeyed every command, yet you have never thrown such a feast for me. But this son of yours, this reckless, sinful man, returns, and he is welcomed with open arms." The father, seeing his eldest son standing outside, pleaded with him. "My son, you have always been with me, and all that I have is yours. But we had to celebrate, because your brother was lost and now is found. This is not just the story of a reckless son. This is not just the story of a bitter brother. This is the story of a father's love. For in truth, we have all been the prodigal, choosing our own way, squandering what God has given. And yet, our Heavenly Father watches and waits for us to come home. And when we do, He runs to meet us. He clothes us in righteousness. He calls us His own. For the God who judges sin is the same God who redeems the sinner. And His desire remains the same, that all would come to Him and be saved. Are you far from God today? Have you wandered away believing you could find joy apart from Him? The Father is waiting. The scarlet cord still hangs. The invitation remains. And all who call upon the name of the Lord will be saved.